right, welcome to another episode of Ty's Take. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Dave, your sort of smart space guy, founder of 40 Sons, joined by the star of the show, Ty Rade, former Space Marine turned space advocate. And as she advocates, she is learning what she needs to know about our world and more specifically our space future and what we're doing. So welcome everyone, and let's get started. We're just going to continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to ask to 40 Sons more directly.
Okay.
So we've obviously talked a lot now about space and
Yes, lots about space.
regarding Space Age 2.0,
Mm-hmm.
which now we've stated we are in. Is there
Yes.
anything that you would say we can be sure of?
Yeah, I mean, and we are in Space Age 2.0. That's kind of the unofficial name for it. And, I would say there's a lot more happening than probably most of us realize. That's one thing we can definitely be sure of. To everybody listening, believe it or not, you actually are at this moment in a spacefaring civilization. I don't know if you ever thought you would be. I don't know if you've realized that you are. I know it sounds a little strange to say it because we don't really tend to think about that. None of us are flying around in spaceships. So how are we in a spacefaring civilization? The fact is, some of us, actually decent numbers of us, are going to space, are in space right now up on the International Space Station. Some of us have been to the moon. More will be going very soon. We are, by the definition, a spacefaring civilization. Now, granted, the spacefaring part is very small right now, like compared to the Earth, incredibly small, but it is happening. It's almost like being in a time in history when people were going to sea, and only a few people were going to sea. You were still a seafaring civilization back then because people were doing it, even if not everybody was. So we're there. So I think we can be sure of the fact that we are in Space Age 2.0, and it's here. Embrace it and support it.
So then, if we have then this mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have this goal. Could you give like a mission statement for us?
Yeah, mission statement is very important for any enterprise, and especially something like 40 Sons. We do have a mission statement. Let me see if I can pull it up here, and I'll just read it to you. We have a two-part mission statement, actually. Part one is to unite the focus of humanity toward common extraplanetary goals that create an ever-improving future by building upon the things we hold in common, despite the things we hold different. So the gist of that is we build that space future by focusing on the things we have in common, the things we can come together over, as opposed to the things we hold different. Because obviously we have differences, some extreme differences in some cases. And, I myself don't have any illusion that the entire world is going to come together and work together towards space. I just don't think that's likely. But a lot more of us could. A lot more of us could, and we could really begin to make it happen. So that's the first part, coming together over something that we hold in common despite our differences. Part two, I think, is equally important because things can get forgotten about. Things can be allowed to slip if you don't pay attention to them. If you don't put energy into something, it basically just kind of fades. It doesn't continue. So part two of our mission is to maintain focus on these pursuits, the pursuit of space, to ensure they do not slip, that they are not forgotten, that they remain at the forefront of our collective minds. So basically, part two is keep the coals on the fire. Don't let it slip. Don't let it get forgotten. So part one is do it. Part two is keep doing it. That's the gist of our missions.
You have a goal, achieve it, don't forget about it.
That's right. Don't forget about it, because anything as hard as space is easy to kind of give up on. It's almost like working out or sticking to a diet or something. It's like it's hard day to day, week to week, month to month. It's like you really got to keep at it. Otherwise it just drops. You drop it out. So space is not easy, not even a little bit. It's incredibly hard. It's incredibly expensive. So in order to do it, we really have to make sure that we don't stop doing it. And those are our
Okay.
basic missions. Yeah.
And then just for the people, I think just to make 40 Suns a little more real for the people, I think that's a
Mhm.
great mission statement. Makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
What would you say then is the premise for 40 Suns and everything they're trying to do?
Well, I'd say the premise is the world is awesome. Despite people are awesome, despite the negative things that you might see happening, despite the terrible things we tend to do to each other. We don't all tend to be bad to each other. The majority of us actually are good to each other and treat each other well. And the ones that don't definitely have the potential to treat people better and to be better to people. So the basic premise and the basic kind of thing that we're operating on is the idea that people are fundamentally good and they want to do positive things. They want to achieve positive things. They just sometimes get in their own way. And so we're not out to fix the world in that regard, but we do believe that by keeping people's attention on something really like a really, really big game like space and the achievement of an eventual extraplanetary existence, being able to live off of this planet, is the kind of a goal that will gradually kind of strip away some of those negative aspects and get people focused more on the positive. So that really is our basic premise. You could state it not only is progress possible, but it's inevitable. I mean, it's inevitable that we're going to progress. It's inevitable that we're going to be living on Mars. It's inevitable we'll be living in space stations. It's really a matter of how quickly do we work on these things and how quickly do we come together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So those are our basic premises and our mission. Very good. I'll name this episode that way so people can find it and listen to it. All right. Very good. Well, then, everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode.